Algebra 2 Notes 4.7 Part 3, the discriminant. Go ahead and get started on the warm-up on page 38. All right, you can either use the factoring or the quadratic formula to solve to find those x-intercepts. And then once you have that done, you can find the vertex and graph it out. So go ahead and pause the video and try the warm-up on page 38. All right, so if you do the quadratic formula, the square root ends up being the square root of 0. So you only get one solution. 6 over 2 is 3. So the 0 is at 3, which means that it crosses the x-axis, or it kind of just sits on the x-axis at 3, 3 comma 0. Okay, and then we do the vertex and also find out that the vertex is 3 comma 0. So since our x has a positive lead coefficient, it's going to make that U shape, but that point where it was the intercept is also the vertex. Okay, so go ahead and graph it from there. So we can say 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, and then do the same thing on the other side. All right, now my screen's struggling with trying to make the line in there, so just imagine that parabola going through all those points. Okay, you can look online to check your answer. All right, so when we get to the new part of the lesson here, the discriminant, that is going to be the part that's under the square root in the quadratic formula. Okay, so that part that's b squared minus 4ac, that is called the discriminant. Now, depending what that number is going to tell us if it's like the one we just had, where there's only one real solution, or if there's two real solutions, or no real solutions. Okay, so the one we just had, if you notice, the square root ended up becoming 0, square root of 0. That meant you have one real solution. Okay, but if the value under the discriminant is greater than 0, that means you're taking like the square root of 16. You're going to get that case 1 and case 2, those two answers. And then if your number is a negative and you're trying to take the square root of a negative number, that is no real solutions. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at those three scenarios. All right, if we wanted to do the discriminant for the two real solutions, how this is going to look: b squared minus 4ac All right, so you're still doing the same ABC as we were yesterday. So A is 1, B is 2, C is negative 24. So B squared, 2 squared, minus 4 times A, which is 1, times C, which is negative 24. We can calculate it, and it ends up being 4 plus 4 times 24, which is 96. So you end up getting 100. Okay, so that would be the discriminant equals 100. So if you actually solve that, the solutions would have been -6 and 4. And so what that's going to look like is you have that parabola that's kind of look like that. My pen is not cooperating with me. So if that discriminant is a positive number, you're going to get those two zeros. There would be 1, and here would be 2. Okay, let's look at the next one. This is the same one as our warm-up problem. Notice that we did that b squared minus 4ac. Then we would get -6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 9. Same thing we had for the warm-up. So it'd be 36 minus 36, which is 0. So if the discriminant equals 0, there's going to be that one real solution. So on our graph, what was the answer? 3, just like that one we did in the warm-up. So it's just going to touch at 3 and then turn back around. So you're just going to have, instead of 2 times where it crosses, it's just going to cross at that 1 time. Okay, and then the last situation, you have no real solutions if you get that discriminant to be a negative. All right, so on this one, A is 1, B is 0, and C is 4. So instead of putting B, we're going to put 0 minus 4 times 1 times 4. So we get 0 minus 16. So we get discriminant equals negative 16. So what's happening for this one, if you can imagine this graph, this was kind of one of those first graphs we learned how to graph, x squared plus 4. So it's that original parabola just shifted up 4. Okay, so this one's going to look kind of like this, where that starting point was up 4. And we want to think, how many times did it cross that x-axis? It never did. So if you get a discriminant to be a negative number, that is going to be 0 real solutions. Okay? All right, so let's practice a couple. So flip it over to the back. All right, so for this first one, it's already set up for us. So A is 2, B is negative 3, C is 7. So we go B squared minus 4 times A times C. So it becomes 9 minus 28 times 2 is 56. So discriminant would be negative 47. So when it says how many real solutions will we have will have 0 real solutions. All right, let's look at B there. So for this one, you need to rewrite the equation. So we can leave it as x squared, but we need to subtract that 6x and subtract that 5. So if we subtract those two, we end up getting x squared minus 6x minus 5 equals 0. All right, so for the B, we can put in negative 6 squared minus 4ac. A would be 1, C would be negative 5. So it's going to be 36 plus 20, which would be 56. Okay, so since we're getting a number greater than 0, it's going to be 2 real solutions. Okay, and if you can think of the factors, it'd be 5 and 1. All right, let's go to the next one here for C. Why don't you guys pause the video and try C and D. See if you can get what the discriminant would be, and then how many real solutions would there be. All right, so for C, the discriminant is 0, which makes there be 1 real solution. Okay, and D, first thing you need to do is get it equal to 0. Then you can find what A, B, C are. A is 2, B negative 1, C is 7. So we can do negative 1 squared minus 4 times A times C. So go 1 minus 28 times 2, 56 equals negative 55. So this one would have 0 real solutions. Okay? All right, your assignment for today is Khan Academy. So you can look on Canvas to find the link to Khan Academy, or just Google Khan Academy. If you're new to the class, to my class, make sure that you look at the directions on Canvas. Okay, so number of solutions of quadratic equations, you can do it as many times as you need to. All right, other things you can be working on. In your packet, you should have page 28, 32, and 35 done. Also, we've had 2 textbook assignments, the 4.5 part 1 and 4.7 part 2. We'll check 4.7 part 2 on Monday. And then there was one page that we've turned in so far, page 25 and 26. So if you have that one done and haven't turned that in, go ahead and turn that in. And then coming up, we have a quiz on Tuesday. All right, email me with any questions. Thanks.